Speedway Tavern. Speedway Tavern. Speedway Tavern. Speedway Tavern. Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. Enjoy your stay. Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. What's the news today? Have a drink, have your say. All opinions here today. Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. Enjoy your stay. Webby, GA, and Matt are here today. Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. Come and have your say.
Well, a lot's happened since we were last together, hasn't it? Sheffield, top flight winners for the first time in their history. Glasgow, after years of getting so close and so far, finally secured the title in the Championship. And we've still got the National League to go between Leicester and Oxford. We also said goodbye to Peterborough, hopefully for not too long. And of course, Monday, we'll say goodbye to Wolverhampton as well. So it's fair to say it's been a bit of a rollercoaster year for British Speedway, but I think there's a lot of things that they can take out of it that can be looked at a brighter future. Only in Speedway.
Sorry about the abrupt end with the music.
Yep.
Oh, well, one man down. Well,
Oh,
I'll
I
use
thought.
that
Sorry,
term
I
loosely.
thought he was under the desk, so he was going to jump out or something. So,
Yeah, no, he's stuck on a bus, but he will be. Unfortunately, he will be joining us in a few minutes' time.
is he on the right bus? By the way, he's not going to get off and find he's in Warwick or anywhere, is he? So.
So it's been a while, Matt.
It has been a while, yeah.
What's been happening in Speedway?
Well, Sheffield, of course, won the Premiership. It didn't look particularly likely. Of course, they got on the end of a big defeat at the hands of Ipswich in the first leg, and even I was looking at that thinking, well, there's no way Ipswich are going to let that slip with a strong top end. But Sheffield hit them early, hit them hard in the second match, and won the title. And you know, sort of fair play to them. They really did go for it. Just wonder whether maybe there was a little bit of complacency from Ipswich. They're thinking 18 points, we should coast it, because they almost came and stuck, of course, in the semi-final against Bellevue, a similar scoreline, and Bellevue managed to take it to the final heat at the NSS before they managed to turn it, before Ipswich in the end held them off. So maybe a little bit of complacency from Ipswich, but I suppose in a sense Sheffield, of course, finished top of the table last season. Of course, missed out on the final to Bellevue, so I suppose in that sense it evened itself out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think the postman's here, by the way. He's just walked in behind me.
Yeah.
So.
It's a burglar.
What time do you call this?
Frozen to death. That's what time I call this.
We were wondering whether you'd got on the right bus.
Well, we were hoping that you got on the bus.
I got on the right bus.
He was going the wrong way.
No, I got on the right bus, but then the next bus decided not to come to the bus stop, so I got on the right Uber instead.
Okay.
So
Not bad.
I've just asked Matt to
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening to let me know what's been going on Speedway, because it's been a long time.
It has been a long, long time. Before we get started on Speedway, so it's often said that Speedway is a Speedway family.
Mm-hmm.
If that was my phone, that's the first time it's done that for about 3 weeks. The speaker's broke. And I certainly feel that doing this show. I love doing this show. I've loved doing this show for 11, 12 years, whatever it's
It
been.
sounds like a resignation speech.
It's not.
Oh, never
Oh, you could uncross your fingers there.
Yeah.
So.
And that's shown to me sometimes when we go. I don't know whether you've had this, people come up to you at Speedway meetings and just come and shake your hands and say, "Oh, I listen to the show and stuff."
Yeah, they usually do. Yeah,
Yeah,
they usually say, "Can you get rid of the other bloke?"
Yeah.
But,
But it's really nice, and I really appreciate it. And so because of that, I sort of do consider our listeners to be part of the family.
Mhm.
So this is why I'm now going to give my family this bit of news. As some of you may know, I've just been to Mexico on holiday, and while I was in Mexico, I proposed to my girlfriend. I'm getting married.
Well done.
Congratulations.
There you go.
Congratulations.
Cheers.
You fool.
Yes. So yeah, I just wanted to get that up top and out of the
Right.
way. So there you go.
Well done. Well done.
Where are we?
Well, we've only got as far as the Premiership final, of course. Sheffield with a remarkable turnaround
Wow,
against.
what, did you watch it?
It did. It was two very good meetings, to be fair. So
But that turnaround was, I would never have picked that. 18, was it 18 points?
yep,
That's
complacency from Ipswich because, of course, they nearly came unstuck in the semi-final against Bellevue with the same scoreline. So
I was getting ready. Well, that's true. Yeah, I was getting ready to sort of celebrate the fact that I, for once, got a prediction right, because I did predict Ipswich to win at the beginning of this year, but it all fell apart. We should say best luck to Danny King, of course.
of course, yep,
Looking very, very second hand at the moment.
yep.
Yeah, it was a hell of it was a good meeting considering.
The conditions, yeah.
The
The Sheffield was certainly
conditions.
the second leg. I mean, Ipswich, I think, has always had a bit of a reputation as being a track that a lot of riders don't really take to. But that was, but I think, Sheffield, obviously, a few riders, certainly Chris Holder. I don't think he ever really mastered Ipswich when he was here before. I don't know how often. It must be a good 10,
I know,
15
but that
years
was
since he last
really
rode.
bad.
Yeah, it wasn't a great night, but as poor as he was in the first leg, certainly turned it on in the
Absolutely.
in the second leg at Owlerton. And as I say, I think it evens itself out, doesn't it? Because Sheffield did finish top of the table last season and missed out on the title to their great rivals Bellevue. So, in that sense, it sort of evens itself out a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the congratulations and written messages. Thank you very much, everybody. Let's get back to Speedway now. That's
Some of them complimentary.
yeah. Most of them complimentary to the new Mrs. GA, as will be, and not to me. But anyway, sorry, I digress.
Okay. Championship, of course, as well. Glasgow, after several years of getting very, very close, finally got over the line and won the title in that one against Poole.
Could this be a year that Poole don't win anything?
Possible. They obviously got beaten in the first leg of the Knockout Cup final. Though it's not an insurmountable.
No, it's quite
deficit.
tight, really. But,
Yeah.
yeah. I shall definitely be rooting for not Poole.
Yeah. And of course, the championship will be swelled next season. Of course, working to making the decision.
That's great news, isn't
to
it?
move up. They've only been back for a year. I was wondering whether they might have given it one more season in the NDL. I do worry now about the NDL's future because, from reading between the lines, Workington aren't going to be there. It does sound as if Bellevue aren't going to be running a team in that league as well. So you wonder what's going to happen with the likes of Kent and Mildenhall, whether they might end up being forced to move up because it doesn't look like there's going to be much of a league in the NDL if there's any.
No, it doesn't look good.
Is there going to be some sort of restructuring in place in terms of developing younger riders? Going back to second halfers after meetings in the other two leagues.
Well, if we lose the NDL, then all of the teams need to look at how they're going to structure something within the league system to keep that going. Because you look at the riders we've got now that are coming through, having been through all of the NDL or whatever incarnation it's been called.
Yep.
It's useful, and we're in the sense of international speedway, we're in the best place we've been for a very, very long time.
We have indeed, yeah.
And that's a lot of that is certainly down to the NDL. I would suggest.
I just hope that it doesn't completely, it's not a change that's made that it's going to be one that's regretted because it has served its purpose the last few seasons. We've had some really good development in recent seasons, haven't we? So
Something that Chris might not know is that if Birmingham races next year, we're going to be in the Premiership, in the top league.
Yep.
Oh, right, okay.
So,
Okay.
Because-
And where will they be riding?
well, we don't know that yet. There's also, I mean, we'll get on to that. There's quite a lot
Yeah.
to unpick on that one, but yeah, we don't.
That's interesting.
So
Excellent.
it will be good. I think it's. I mean, if we can do it, I think it's a good move.
Well, it makes sense, really, doesn't it?
Because of the whole Wolverhampton situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to say that, but but it's true nonetheless.
I think really the concern as well with me is the Championship at the moment just looks a mess. I think there's a lot of restructuring needs to be made in that league, and I don't really think Birmingham have got anything to lose by moving up.
That's
Yeah,
what.
there's going to be a surplus of riders with obviously my club going and Peterborough going as well. So,
And there's going to be less riders available
yeah,
in the Championship. There's a few riders stating, "No, we're not going to do Championship."
TV
next
deals
year.
obviously as well in the top flight.
Yeah.
So, and from what I've heard, a lot of things have been quite positive about the top league. So,
Jeff Daniels has just touched on that. Brennan announced leaving Glasgow tonight, along with Douglas leaving Scunthorpe and Kerr leaving Oxford. Looks like Championship being watered down with lower team average. Might be the new National League.
quite possibly, yeah.
In a way.
I wonder now. I mean, I suppose the one thing with Glasgow, of course, is that personally, I mean, Poole and Glasgow, I think, are clubs that financially probably could make the top league pay. I just wonder with Glasgow whether they maybe were sort of whether wanted to wait until they'd actually won the league first before they made any thoughts about moving up. Whether they will do now or whether they'll want to stay in the Championship and defend it.
The problem
Remains to
for
be
Glasgow is they've got no one to nobody close to race against. They haven't got a local rivalry in the Premiership, have they? Really? Not like the sense of Edinburgh.
Well, I mean, not. I mean, are there that many away supporters that go to clubs now? That's I suppose that's the one thing, and it's probably the cheapest way to go up to Glasgow is flying up, but it's not too cheap, and people can do that. And I don't know what night they would run, of course, because it would either, as things stand, it would either have to be a Monday or a Thursday. So
This coming AGM is going to be interesting. Not least is Birmingham running.
yeah,
Because there's, I think Nigel Tully's, I don't think I know because I was there, Nigel Tully said there's 80% chance of Birmingham running next year, which sounds positive,
yeah.
but it also means there's a 20% chance that they're
20's
not.
a bit too high, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
That was his judgment on it as well. So, yeah, we're waiting for all sorts of things from ARC and, I mean, people want to ask questions. There was so much to unpick in the meeting.
Yeah.
You wasn't there, was you?
No, I wasn't there, no.
Yeah, it was interesting.
So I've just upped the sound a little bit for you, Brian. Personally, for you.
Just for you, well,
Just for
okay.
you, yeah.
I mean, and so you should.
You know, we'll see.
If you'd like to just take the I've been taken to task a little bit, and I need to get that
Tell me when you want
out.
me to start.
Actually, I remembered what it was. Oh, there it is. Fred Graham said Poole won the BSN trophy earlier in this year, so they're not going to go trophyless. Fair play. There you go. Kent have confirmed they are going Nora next year.
Explain to me what Nora.
I'll let you do that one.
means.
I can't remember what it stands for now.
It's basically
is, yeah.
a new league that our friend down at
Barry Bishop at the Isle of Wight, yeah.
the Isle of
okay.
Wight, is starting. So
So who are? I'm going to ask silly questions now. So who will they be governed by, or what-
Nora.
Basically, yeah.
Themselves.
It's effectively independent of the current.
yeah, you've got this is like the darts, isn't it?
Yeah.
That sort of
Right,
situation.
okay.
Yeah, you've got the two
know
entities.
what?
Yeah,
I'm probably going to be controversial, but that could be a good thing.
I don't think it is controversial. I think anything that puts a kick
Yeah.
up the bum
Yeah.
of the sport and keeps it going and keeps clubs running is a
Yeah.
good thing.
I think so.
So, and obviously, Pickering's said he won't be riding the championship because he wants to try and get some meetings in Poland,
Yeah.
which says it all, really. So, I mean, it's been an exciting old season. Still not finished yet.
No.
We should talk about Wolverhampton's got their last ever meeting at Monmouth Green next Monday, weather permitting.
Yeah.
You must be feeling really flat.
It's sort of crept up on us, really, hasn't it? You know, we've had the last ever bank holiday meeting, then the last ever league meeting, then the last ever team meeting, of course, which unfortunately ended in defeat against with a disappointing performance against Sheffield in the playoff semi-final. Obviously, last night was the last Olympic. Very good meeting, very good firework display, which lasted 10 minutes because I filmed it. Really impressive. So I don't know what the local residents thought of that, but. No, we've known that it's been coming. I suppose really tonight that we've all been dreading. I mean, part of me doesn't really want to go on Monday, but I will be there. There's not really,
you would regret it if you didn't.
Yeah, there's not really been that many announcements about who's riding it. The only announcement I've seen so far is Jakob Torsel's coming back to racing it. So
right.
I don't know what other things are being planned. I would like to think some of the great names of yesteryear from Wolves are going to be.
You'd like to think
coming back. The likes
Freddie Glingren would be a good one, wouldn't it?
Well, of course, it was every possibility a couple of weeks ago that Freddie might have been able to come back as a world champion, but obviously just fell short in the end. So, it's I suppose in a sense for Chris Van Stratton, it's in some ways it's going to be a relief. I think once that last meeting's out of the way, because then 100% the focus can go on the battle to try and find another site. We'll obviously see. I think there's still seems to be a lot of people who think that there's a chance of getting another year out of Monmouth Green. I know categorically that is not the case. There's no way in a million years that Entane and Ladbrokes are going to change their minds on that one. They're not going to shift, unfortunately. But it is what it is. Got to have to certainly miss out on 1 year and just hope that things can move relatively quickly and something can be in place for the club to operate in 2025. It's going to be a long year. It's going to be a strange old year next year. Obviously, doing 33 years watching Wolves, it's going to be a bit strange watching a Speedway season and there's no Wolves racing. But
I mean, we should point out, I guess, at this point that if Wolves are not racing next year and Birmingham are not racing next year, we'll still be doing this show, won't we?
Yep.
Yeah. We'll just have to
go. Teams.
Yeah, we'll just have to go around the country and see a bit more.
I've already got plans to do that next year anyway, so I'll certainly, traditionally, of course, I'll go to Bellevue on the bank holiday because Wolves are there. But obviously, if it's a particularly, there's every possibility. Of course, it might be Birmingham there next year on a bank holiday. You don't know, do you? Yet, so.
Brian Buck says Wolverhampton's fireworks display last night certainly put Cardiff's to shame.
Really? Yeah, it was really impressive. Really impressive. They did put a lot of work into that one. So
did it have the feeling of a farewell? I imagine is there another meeting?
There's one more meeting.
There's one more meeting.
It did have to be fair. I think a lot of people obviously.
Was it a good meeting?
Yeah, it was a good meeting.
Zach Cook, the winner, of course.
I have to say, the Olympic has not always been my favourite meeting, to be honest. It's a bit of a unique, obviously, with the handicap system. But last night was really good on a track that was really well prepared.
Right.
By all accounts, there'd been a lot of rain in the area over the weekend, so quite surprised actually at how well the track rode, actually.
We should make a mention of the Alan Graham Memorial meeting, which is off tomorrow, because there's a big storm coming in. There's yellow warnings everywhere. Probably the right decision.
Yeah, I think so. Looking at the forecast, don't look good.
But what a shame that we couldn't have, given that we might now have already seen our last Birmingham Speedway meeting.
Yeah.
And obviously we got the under-21s, but that's not a Birmingham team meeting at all. But fingers crossed that.
Something will happen,
When's that, Mike? When's that?
I think, is it next Wednesday or the Wednesday? Yeah, I think it's next Wednesday. Yeah, at the under-21. Pete Clark says losing something that had been with you for most of your adult life makes it feel like a punch in the stomach. And Pete would know because he lost. He was a Stoke fan.
Yeah.
Now working at Birmingham and hoping that same thing. I'm blaming Pete.
Did see a few Stoke fans at Monmouth last night, which was good to see. So there's obviously, they're obviously still taking an interest in the sport. There's nothing, as far as I know, there's nothing in the pipeline regarding a return for Stoke.
Actually, there's something I'd like to say. There's quite a lot of really good track staff at Wolverhampton. I'd hate for them to be lost to the sport. So I'd love as many of them as want to get down to Birmingham, and we definitely need the help. with all the stuff that's going on. So get yourself down to Birmingham. Don't
a
be
lot,
lost
a
to
lot
the
of
sport.
the track staff at Wolves do work at Perry Bar anyway.
There
don't they?
are
There's
quite a few.
So
Yeah.
and I've certainly spoke to quite a few Wolves fans who've said that they, if Birmingham are running next year, they intend to certainly go down quite a few times next season and watch.
Jeff Daniel says, "What has happened to Danny King? I've seemed to have missed the news." That was in the Sheffield match.
Yeah, he was a real pearler, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He really knocked himself about.
And he carried on riding and gave a fairly good account of himself, but he was very second hand.
Yeah, definitely. So.
Yeah. So he's basically very second hand at the moment, bruised and battered and a bit poorly. Fred Graham says, "You chaps will always be welcome at Glasgow. We will take you into Glasgow city centre for a few sherbets before and after the meeting."
That'd be a night out, wouldn't it?
Yeah, wouldn't
Well,
it?
we are looking to do a live show, aren't we?
Well, there is that. I mean, that's it's a long way to go for a live show, but you know,
Just a bit, yeah.
On the bus.
Simon Corbett says, "Where will the Wolves riders end up?" Well, I hope.
This is what I'm saying, really, because with us going and Peterborough going, there is going to be a surplus of riders.
Rider.
So
I hope a lot of them end up at Birmingham.
yeah, and I think Leicester have shown this season. I know they obviously capitulated at the very end, but they've shown that you can go up into that league and straight away be competitive. It's not like in football where your team comes up and they have to spend 2 or 3 years battling to stay, battling to survive,
And then going back down again.
Yeah.
Hello, Birmingham City.
He who laughed the loudest.
Okay.
But I certainly wouldn't be surprised if Birmingham do run. And at the moment, I would say it seems they ought to see more on them.
More
running,
positive,
on positive
Yeah.
than negative. I certainly wouldn't.
There
be
is still
surprised if a
trouble
few of
ahead,
the-
even if we do run.
Yeah,
But
I wouldn't be surprised if a few of the Wolves riders do end up at Perry Bar.
Fred Graham says, "What the live show in Glasgow would be very interesting. Might need to add subtitles."
Which way round does he mean?
Well, there is that.
Yeah, that's all.
I mean, looking at the Wolves riders, I mean, you know, that I'd love to have Luke Becker in the Birmingham side. I think our track would suit him quite well as well.
Yeah, he's ridden once at Perry Bar. I think his Wolves debut was at Perry Bar, wasn't it? And he made a good account of himself.
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a rider that I would. I'm not sure about Sam Masters.
Sam's not had a great season this year for Wolves. I think his form for Oxford has been very good. I don't think his form for Wolves has been quite as on the level. I don't think he's. In fact, I think his last double figure score for Wolves, I know at home, was around June or July. So he's not been in great form, certainly in the second half of the season. I don't know whether he's another rider that maybe might make a decision at the end of the season about whether he's going to race in the Championship or just do the Premiership. Obviously, I suppose the downside of that, of course, is that there's less fixtures if you're not doing the Championship, because, as you know, with how many teams are running in the Premiership, unless of course more teams move up.
I guess that it's where they're racing abroad that figures into that as well.
Yeah. Ryan Douglas, I think, is another one that I think would be a good move.
I like Ryan Douglas.
Yeah, he's a good rider. He always, admittedly, he's not always against very strong Birmingham teams, but he barely seems to drop a point around Perry Bar, does he? So,
yeah, I like him a lot. I was going to come up with something then, and it's totally gone. So I'll have to, I'll have to wait until it comes back into my head again. Which could be next season. Could be next season, folks. Could be next season. So there are a few. Leon Flint.
Yep, of course, with Birmingham connections previously.
That
Rode well
be-
last night. Did ride well last night. It's taken him quite a while to master Monmouth, to be fair.
Yeah, he's got better as the season's gone on,
Yeah.
I suppose. And you could say that for the last season as well.
Yeah.
But he's no stranger to the Perry Bar track.
Yeah, and he's still very popular there, isn't he? And he was very popular when he was with Birmingham in the National League days, wasn't he? So
Absolutely.
made such a big impression that one season.
It's just his character. His character is, perfect for the fans, perfect.
Yeah.
Pico is another rider I would, but of course he's got another Premiership team at the moment anyway.
Yep.
Ben Clifton, rumours seem to suggest that Speedway may return to the Northampton International Raceway after many decades. If not 2024, then certainly for 2025. This seems to be what Phil Morris has been hinting at, hasn't it? Mm-hmm. Potentially could, along with Leicester, end up being the local tracks for you lads, much like the South East after Ewade. My next closest tracks are Oxford and Ipswich, or...
Such a build-up, isn't it?
Mildenhall, all at least 200-mile round plus trips. I mean,
there seems to be a lot of noise around Cradley at the moment as well, doesn't there?
No comments. Hey,
we all know that, sir. But
it'd be good to have Cradley back. It'd be good to have. Hello. It'd be I'm sorry about that. Sorry. Late lunch. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to have a go at beating a good Cradley team.
Yeah.
Again, like we did in the National League. They were not happy when we, did that. Pete Clark, any Wolves track volunteers will be made welcome at Perry Bar. We will hopefully be riding next season, and we will be there every Sunday. Oh, yes, you will. I might be there. The odd one. Who knows?
Yeah.
Okay.
You will be the odd one.
It obviously depends on the missus with that one there.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what I mean.
Hopefully, Emil will be back next season, as he is a world-class rider and so exciting to watch.
I would say that Emil Seifert has been the rider of the year, certainly in the top league this season. I think
great with the fans as well.
Yeah, that's been
unexpected a little bit.
That's been the big thing. I know when they came to Monmouth in August, there was a huge queue of fans in the pits waiting to have autographs with him and have a chat with him and they had the photographs. And to be fair, he gave time for every single one of them. So fair play to him. You know, I think a lot of people were a bit unsure when he came back as to whether it would work, but it's been a revelation. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Ipswich next season, whether they will stick with the strong top two that they've got this season with him and Jason Doyle. So
Ben Clifton says the noise around Cradley and it's not coming from Robinson. As much as Cradley are disliked, Speedway needs them and the money there many fans pile in. Yeah.
I think a lot of. I think they were generally quite unpopular with a lot of National League, with a lot of fans from other National League clubs, but I don't think they were unpopular with a lot of the other promotions because they used to travel in big numbers, didn't they? So
Plymouth also pleading, this is Rich Thomas, poverty, so not definitely running. Pat Moore, Emil, great all-rounder, riding and with fans. He's riding with the fans. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I hope he is back. We should mention, unless you have already mentioned it in the few minutes that I wasn't here, we have a new world champion, or an old new
An old new world champion.
Yep, just a few things I've noticed about that. Actually, youngest rider to get to 4 world championships, breaking over Funding's 60-year-old record. The previous ones. Greg Hancock, 44, is the oldest, so I don't think that'll ever get broken. Hans Nielsen was 35, Barry Briggs was 32, Ivan Major was 32, Tony Rickardsson was 31, Ove Funding was 30, Bartosz Marslik's 28. And it was quite something I read the other day as well, that Bartosz Marslik has won the World Championship, 4 World Championships at the age of 28. Ivan Major had only just won his first one when he was 28.
Right. Wow.
As things stand, I don't think anything's going to stop him passing Major and Rickardsson's current record of 6. You know, he's 2 away at the moment. Still plenty of time on his side.
It's been a strange year, though. I think in many ways he has shown frailties this year that you haven't seen before, and yet he won it at a canter.
Yeah, he tends to deliver when he knows he absolutely has to. I mean, he almost did it at Cardiff. Cardiff was probably his poorest Grand Prix of the season, but semi-final came up and he won that semi-final by an absolute country mile, and I think we all thought he's going to do it again. Of course, he didn't do it in the end.
But only because of that debacle, shall we say, with the not having the right logo on it and getting excluded.
Something seems really, really off that, doesn't it? But
it's an interesting one.
I don't know. I don't think we'll ever get the full story.
Surely a fine would have been better, but then if that's the rules, and the rules need looking at. But
yep. We've also
certainly made it interesting. I thought Lindgren was very, very gracious in the way he took the defeat that day, and also he turned around and said he shouldn't have been dropped out of that.
Yeah,
He was
I
quite
mean,
supportive.
Freddie, I think had a decent chance of nipping in and taking the championship. Although I think it would have been a bit hollow if he had done, because he certainly wasn't the best. He's had a good season, but he certainly wasn't the best rider over the course of the season. And I just look at the field now, and you wonder where the challenge is going to come from. I think there's riders that can challenge him on the odd night.
Well, there's
but
the
over a
likes
season,
of Dan Bewley. I mean, he's only had that sort of season, so it's be interesting to see. Well, 2 seasons now, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see how he kicks on now. He's young enough for it
Yeah.
to. I don't know why I'm waving my pen at you.
He doesn't deliver in semi-finals though. I think he's got to. I think he's only got to.
Delivers in finals.
Yeah, but he's getting to finals,
Yeah.
isn't it? He doesn't get. He doesn't. You know, Freddie and Bartos have got to. Most of the finals this season. You look at someone like Dan Bewley, gets to semi-final, and
Apparently, he's
often not
going to be sponsored by Viagra next year because he only gets semis.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I was waiting for that.
I'm so sorry.
We've got the wild cards, of course, for next year as
I
well.
was going to ask about
Dan
that, yeah.
Bewley, Ty Woofington. That was an interesting one. Andrei Lebedev's from Latvia, Kai Hülkenberg from Germany, and Dominic Kubera from Poland.
No Russian riders again.
It's disappointing, because I think they really look to be the only 2 riders that consistently could challenge Smarzlik, and of course they've now been. I mean, I suppose it sort of adds to the mystique really with Lagota, because as things stand, we'll probably never know whether that was just a 1-season thing. I mean, he probably benefited in a sense of the fact that there wasn't a Cardiff in that in 2021, and there wasn't a Tetra in 2021 either. So they were tracks that maybe wouldn't have suited him so much. I mean, he was phenomenal that season. I mean, but at the same time, I think he only won it by 3 points. So he only just got over the line.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I mean, their problem now is that they're not getting competitive races, which is why Emil Safutinov, to be honest about it, is.
If Emil Safutinov was still in the Grand Prix, he wouldn't be riding at Ipswich on Thursday night.
Yeah.
I'm very confident in that.
So you have to wonder whether they're looking at this now, at what Emil's done, and whether they're thinking this might be something. I mean, obviously, Emil's not riding under a Russian licence, and
He's riding under a Polish licence now.
So that might make a difference. But
I think that's part of the problem, isn't it? Because the Poles have got such a strong depth of riders, of their own riders. Are they going to nominate a rider that's not Polish?
Yeah,
Probably not. So
he needs to get into the qualifying, doesn't he, and qualify that way.
are they allowed to get in there? That's the only thing.
I don't know.
Yep.
I mean, somebody out there might tell me. So Brian has produced a little missive here. Bradfield is an interesting possibility. I went to a few meetings there when they last ran in the early 1960s. The track was very small and was laid inside the tarmac stock car track and was a long way away from the crowd, so the racing looked very slow. The stock car track was the original Speedway circuit when Bradfield ran in the Southern Area League, so hopefully this can be utilised for the Speedway this time. Okay, thank you.
Interesting one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I think wasn't What City a bit like that, a bit too far away from the crowd. So.
Fred Graham, such a shame, rumour if true, that 38-point limit in championship and also, no requirement for young British riders, so we'll be full of 4 and 5 point riders. Seems like they're trying to water down what we watch in the championship. Just look at riders no longer committing to the championship in the last week. I'll wait to be convinced this is the right way to go. Look, I've always said that messing about with the average, it should be 42.5, that's it. And it'll find its own average eventually.
Yeah.
Brian Rees, I think Lambert was way out of the order the way he slated the Ipswich track after the first leg final at Vauxhall after a previous day's rain. Maybe, but I think he was just disappointed.
He's a winner. He's a winner at the end of the day.
I think he was just disappointed. I think he was just fed up and he just vented.
Should point out though, he did win the race. He did win. He won it with the fastest time of the night
Right.
as well. So, but that's the thing with Robert Lambert. You know, he's a winner. He wants to win, doesn't he? And at the end of the day, the old saying is, "Show me a good loser, and I'll show you a loser." So.
Dan Clifton says that Emil's apparently been quoted as saying that he was not interested in GPs as he hopes to ride for Ipswich again next year, and I don't think there'll be any problem there somehow. And Pete Clark said Emily, as he's calling him, should have got, that's going to stick that, isn't it?
Yep.
Should have got a Latvian passport, wild card, no problem. There you go. So do we think the wild cards were strange choices?
I think Kai Hülkenberg rode very well, to be fair, in the Tyrrell
Yeah, he
Grand
did.
Prix. Whether he would do it over a season, I'm not so sure.
That's to be found out.
That's to be
I guess.
found out. You know, at the end of the day, you know, he's been given a chance. Dominic Cabera, I had big expectations of him, but he didn't have such a good night in Tyrrell, I don't think. Andrei Lebedevs has obviously been in and around the field, obviously during the second half of the season.
Done okay.
Done okay, not really stood out. I think Dan Bewley was always going to pick.
He needed
get a pick.
There would have been an uproar if he didn't get
yeah,
the pick. I mean,
A few people think surprised that Ty managed to get one, but I just wonder whether maybe
did enough at the end there.
possibly did enough at the end. You know, plus I think I suppose obviously they picked Ty as well in a sense because he's obviously he's box office as well, isn't he? So he's obviously with his he's very, very good for publicity, and I think that was possibly maybe in their mind as well. But
It's as good a reason as any, I guess.
yeah, I'm just obviously concerned. I obviously can be concerned with Ty is the fact that it's been such a long time now since he's even won a Grand Prix, let alone won a World Championship.
Well,
So
hopefully, I mean, I can remember saying the same thing about Greg Hancock. And then all of a
the
sudden
number of
times he went mad.
the number of times where he wrote Greg Hancock off, and
Yeah.
he kept coming back and winning World Championships. I mean, people say I've seen people say they should give it on the basis of what they do in the Polish league, but if you look at Greg Hancock's form while he was winning all those later World Championships, he wasn't outstanding in the Polish league. He was solid, but not scoring massive points. Even Laguta in the season he won it, I don't think was scoring huge points in the league. So it's not really a barometer to sort of set that. I don't think.
No. Thank you, John Hope. Just leave it to that.
I think he's watching on catch up, I think.
It's one person who won't be at Birmingham next season if they run, of course, is Stuart Dixon, because obviously he's now taken the job at Berwick.
Yep.
Probably wasn't a massive surprise. You look
It's a bit nearer to where he lives.
Yeah, when you look at his record at Birmingham, did it improve Birmingham? Not really.
No.
I think Birmingham and also Leicester were sort of thrown under the bus a little bit by the situation with Nick Morris. But obviously, it's obviously closer to home for him. Obviously, he's a Glasgow man. He's obviously from that area, so that's obviously a lot closer for him to travel to. But of course, he's also stated that doesn't affect his role at Leicester. So that means obviously Leicester we understand, are very close to agreeing a takeover there. So they look like they will certainly be running next season. That's another track that I'll probably make a few visits to next year. So that'll be good.
I want to get into this. I have remembered what it was that I wanted to
Okay.
raise before and wrote it down, so I didn't forget it again. It's a pet hate of mine at the moment. Rolling averages.
Yeah.
I think it does not work. I think you need it ends up it can end up leaving really good reserves at reserve, whereas before they would have had to move into the main body of the team.
Yeah.
And can be unfair advantages in all sorts of ways. And also, if you've got a Nick Morris who's doing really badly, let's be honest,
Yeah.
he still stays at number one. Until the end of the season, when it finally all catches up, and all of a sudden he's got a 6-point average instead of a 9-point average. I mean,
Yeah, and then he's on everybody's wish list, isn't he, on that average? So
yeah. I don't like them. I'd like to hear what people think. What do you think of rolling averages? It's not a good barometer of form, is it?
The thing with the averages was that, I mean, it was always fairly straightforward, wasn't it? Looking at the averages, that's what the riders' averages on it, and it generally changed after was it 12 meetings, 12 meetings they changed. The team changed, and it sort of
6 home, 6 away. I think it was.
But you look at the averages now, and you're not quite sure as to whether that's a current average or whether it's just on the basis of what they did earlier in the season that's still rolling back.
Yeah.
No, I personally, I think it should just be that's your average. It changes after 12 meetings. That's it. So
yeah, I agree. Ben Clifton says some upset in the Mildenhall camp. Having travelled to Leicester this Saturday, they got everyone in the stadium and then called it off, blaming rain from the previous days and making the track tricky. Leicester are now refusing to refund tickets, saying they will allow re-entry to the restaging but won't give any money back. I'm not sure they can do that, can they? Isn't there some sort of?
I don't think they can.
I think they have to give money back. Particularly, there's been no racing at all.
Yeah, I would have thought they would have been able to.
So, yeah, I could be wrong. I have been wrong before.
Yeah.
On this programme, on a weekly basis. Yeah.
I'm saying nothing.
I'm assuming that somebody has been messaging you asking put the league table up so we can see this.
No, but only about just one person basically.
Can I guess who it is, or do we?
Gosh, I have no idea what's been happening with that. How far down
Yes,
have I
suppose
slipped?
have we officially announced the
Yep.
winner of?
I haven't officially announced it. No,
Okay,
I think
so-
probably some people have probably worked it out who it was.
Okay, so the 2023 champion is, here we go, Simon Corbett. Well done, Simon. I've actually got this ready. It's because I'm so professional, you see. So yeah, well done, Simon.
3 in a row. He's the Bartos Smiles League of the
Wow.
prediction league.
What the hell's going on there? 3 in a row. So we think that we've come to the conclusion he should be handicapped next season.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
because he's won 3 in a row, maybe the first 3 weeks, all his points can go to you.
Yeah.
and then you'll still finish about 20th.
Yeah.
In fairness, I will say, at one point, I
I've
think at the
caught
start
up
of
a
May,
little bit.
he was down in about 20th at one point, wasn't he, in the start of March? So he has done well. Give him his due to
incredible,
fight his way back into that one. But
Yeah.
No, give him his dues. He knows his stuff.
yeah, thanks to everyone for taking part. It's,
Absolutely.
it's
It's been
another very, very good.
Best one yet, I think.
Yeah, and well done to the people who gave him a good fight.
Yeah, we've had a lot of newbies as well this year that have done well as well.
Fantastic.
Nick Matthews is a newbie, Julie Turner, John Turner, Philip Gray. So all done really well. All certainly done better than us 3 Palankers, I'll tell you that. So.
Rich Thomas was actually only 3 points away, so
Yeah.
gave him a fight. There we go. And of course, the top. The
Rich
top
Thomas says he
presenter-
has been worrying about it for the last 3 months.
Of course, the top presenter was, of course, Matt, and the one that was right on the bottom was Mike Harris.
Again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't ever go for 3 weeks, and he still couldn't catch him. So
he still didn't catch me.
yeah.
No, well done, Simon. Well done.
Yeah.
And I'll get the prizes off to you.
Do you know his address?
Oh, no, I do. Yeah.
It's got it on speed dial. Can you have addresses on speed dial?
No, there's no such thing. Well done, Simon.
Brian Reeson says, do you have a favourite heat of Speedway in all the matches you have watched this season?
Good question. Good question.
There's been a few good races at Perry Bar this year.
I'll tell you what one of my favourite races was. It was right at the start of the season. It was at Perry Bar. I think it was in the opening meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Heat 10 of the match against Scunthorpe. Nick Morris and Alfie Botel getting a 5-1 because of the
Yes,
team riding.
the team riding
That was like watching Sam Malenko in his prime. It was super, and that really did set the store.
And what
Nick
a
Morris was
positive
gonna have a good
start
season.
that we had
Yeah.
with that. And we all thought, well, we've got a number 1 here.
Yeah. It was really, it was expert team riding, wasn't it?
It was great. And a lot of races that Alfie Botel were in as well.
Yeah.
Who to me is the rider that takes the most credit at Birmingham this year, maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
What about at Wolverhampton?
Been a few at Wolves, really, hasn't there? Certainly the two Ipswich matches were very, very good. The last 8 of the that one there. Of course, we had plenty of super heats as well.
Gosh, yeah.
I would say, even though we lost it, I would say probably the super heat at Bellevue, because I think all 4 of those riders led that race at some point, and all 4 of them were lost at some point. It was an incredible race. Just disappointing in the end that we couldn't hold on and get the win, but that was a phenomenal race, and yet again at Bellevue, which so many times has produced, hasn't it, over recent seasons. But no, we've seen some very good racing. I think in a lot of the meetings that I've watched this season, not just at Monmouth but at Perry Bar as well. Obviously for Birmingham, it's been a really disappointing season in terms of results, and again,
dire.
Yeah, that's got to change next year if they run.
And the worst
Absolutely
moment we might as well have had the best moment. The worst moment was, and I wasn't even there. I watched it live on the
BSN.
Thingy.
The thingy, the internety thingy, which was the Glasgow match.
Yeah,
and Nick Morris not being allowed to ride, and us not being able to have a ride replacement for him, which that rule's got to change, hasn't it?
I think that really was the
nail in the coffin of the season.
I think it was just so. I think there was sort of some cautious optimism about Birmingham after certainly after Stuart Dixon came in, and obviously he started making changes, and from that and really that the end that night, I think just sort of sapped so much of the energy out of the club, didn't it? Really,
it was awful.
Yeah.
No atmosphere, and there hasn't been a lot of atmosphere at Birmingham this year. I'm not talking from the riders' point of view now. That just sucked it all out.
Yeah.
Got to do better next year. Can't do worse.
Yeah, it's a massive season, I think.
Yeah.
And fingers crossed the Birmingham will run. I think we certainly hope so, because the only chance to see Speedway in the West Midlands next season, as things stand, will be a Perry Bar subject to confirmation. So.
In my head, they're running. That's the only way I can approach it.
Yeah.
Ben Clifton says the best race I've seen this season was in a second half at Kent, a match race between 2 local lads, Chris Watts and Nath Hargrave. Both riders passed and repassed each other multiple times and were never more than a fag paper apart. Nathan unfortunately fell Ben to lap 4 whilst slightly ahead, but it was proper top draw stuff.
Yeah. Let's quickly talk about Peterborough as well, because obviously, as we know, they've now staged their last meeting, and it's obviously sad to lose any club. Certainly Peterborough. You've obviously been to Peterborough and seen some
great track.
Yeah, it's
they were probably the best team in the league at the end of the season.
Yeah. I mean, I went there 2 or 3 times. Really, saw some. Probably one of the best races I've ever seen live was at Peterborough, when Wolves went there in the season we won the double in '96, the Bone Sport run-off between Michael Carlson and Ryan Sullivan. Probably the best race I've ever seen live. It was phenomenal. In fact, I've got it on my phone. I might show you later if you behave yourself, sir.
Okay. Well, that's not going to happen then. Rich Thomas said the last heat of Bellevue versus Ipswich.
That was
wow.
Wow.
Wow, that was something else. That was. You should watch that, Chris.
Oh right, okay.
You really should watch. That was phenomenal. That was above the top draw. That was. Passing, repassing. I mean, throwing the bikes at each other. It was really.
Again,
really
that was one of
special.
those races where I think all 4 riders led at one point, didn't they?
Did you?
All 4 riders were last at one point.
All 4 riders led after the first lap, I think.
Yeah.
It was just... Dave Twine says Brum winning the first away match of any season was my highlight.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Well, they did win, of course, that Plymouth match, didn't they? So.
I think we won more away than we did at home, didn't we?
Well, they won at Plymouth, didn't they? And was it Oxford? Not Oxford.
No, that was the year before.
Berwick.
Yeah.
which was a surprise because Birmingham's record at Berwick is pretty ropey, isn't it? So,
Yeah, absolutely. Wow.
Before we do go, I think we need to say thank you to everybody who's tuned in.
Absolutely.
Over the season. I think I've worked out something just between 75 and 80,000 viewers and listeners with catch up as well, over the season. But that's pretty. That's pretty.
What
fun
I'd like
overall.
to know is how you did work that out, because you've only got 10 fingers and I've seen you count.
Yeah, so that's pretty good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that as always.
it's not bad from the 11 that was.
No,
We
listened to the
started
first-
with, yeah,
and the dog.
for the first sort of, I think 3 months, something like that. It was
with you
just
sitting in that
11.
corner, I gather. So
That's-
shouting
Yeah,
into the
shouting
mic.
into one microphone, one little stick microphone. It was, yeah.
Got from Aldi's, I think they got it from.
Apparently, they've already started taking the Speedway track down, haven't they, as well? So I read somewhere, which is Peterborough. Which,
Yeah, Peter said they're sad knowing Peterborough was due to close all season, that we've lost it now.
And what a season Chris Harris has
that
had.
Sport England raised their objection right at the end of the season. Too late at the end of the day. Bomber's had a great season, yeah. That's and obviously he just seems to always deliver for the playoffs, doesn't he?
Absolutely.
Unless he's
I
got a
think
Wolves
at the
race
end
to
of the
hit on.
season, when the tracks get trickier, is his time.
Yeah, he
likes
just
tricky
seems
tracks.
to find a way of raising his game for that big occasion at the end of the season, doesn't it? So in fact, I'm sure I read somewhere the other day, since 2005, I think there's only been 3 seasons where he hasn't featured in the playoffs.
Right.
Since 2005, and you think that's 18 years. That's a
Well,
pretty...
I'm surprised he hasn't featured in the NDL.
Yeah.
He's featured in every other one.
He's guesting for everybody else, hasn't he? So,
Including guesting for the different teams in the same final at one point.
yeah.
Just only in Speedway.
Only in Speedway.
Yep, only in Speedway. We should say that, we will come back and do an AGM meeting.
Yeah.
I think this year it's going to be, how many times do we say this? Very, very important AGM for a lot of clubs, for Speedway in general. It's going to be interesting to see if Phil Morris has, what sort of input, what sort of difference he makes at this AGM.
Yep.
That's going to be interesting to see.
A lot of positivity about. I don't know whether you've seen any of Phil's performance at the inquiry for Coventry. Really gave.
I haven't seen it, but I have heard that he did. That
Yeah,
he
really
was very
went
good.
into a lot of detail. Was clearly was very, very well prepared. Unfortunately, I personally don't think that the inquiry has gone that well for Coventry.
Right.
There's a lot of questions that are being asked that I'm not convinced they've been able to find suitable answers to, and that's a bit of a worry. I think people think saying, I can't give you that information. It's a public inquiry. You've got to be able to deliver that sort of thing. I think it's. I don't think it's gone. I don't think it's gone great. Hopefully, I'm proved wrong, but that's just a gut feeling I've got. But
You're welcome, Pat Moore. He says thank you for the entertainment. You're
Yeah.
more than welcome. So we will do an AGM, which I think is going to be in November. Just looking at Chris so that he knows to get out of bed that day.
yeah,
Or whether I'm on holiday. You never know.
Pete Clark says it's been emotional. Cheers, fellas.
And Rich Thomas wants us to do a Christmas show. What about Speedway?
it's going to be a bit difficult, I think,
Or
isn't it?
a
So,
walk on wise type of thing.
No.
I can do that. Michael, when you get married, don't lose the ring, or they will give you the.
You have to.
2 minutes.
Yeah, that's not happening until October next year, so we've got plenty of time to worry about that.
Plenty of time to change mine. Plenty of time, yeah.
The Axeman Clark Osborne came up and talked down Speedway at the inquiry.
At the inquiry, yeah.
Fred Graham, I'm losing my voice there. Fred Graham says, thanks, chaps, for the entertainment and positivity you give our sport. All the owners and promoters of the club should listen to this on a regular basis. Look forward to the next show in season 2024.
Well, thinking about that, I mean, if they're doing their job right, then shouldn't they be listening?
Maybe.
Shouldn't they be listening to what
I should
Fans
certainly be
talk-
listening to what the fans say,
Exactly,
and that's
Certainly, yeah.
and that's certainly what this show is
Well, that's
mainly
it.
about, isn't
Of
it?
course
We've
it
always
is.
said by the fans for the
It's
fans.
not about us, really. We're
Thank God for that.
presenting people's views.
Thank
aren't we?
God for that, said everybody.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Excuse
We know
me.
nothing. We know nothing.
And hopefully, the plan at the moment is that we're going to do a live show next year at the beginning
Yeah,
of the year.
yeah, we're going to try and sort out a nice venue with crisps and nuts and
Stuff.
and stuff.
Yeah.
And so, just keep watching and listening, and watch this space. And as soon as we know something, we will let you know.
Yeah.
The idea will be to get some decent guests on,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so, to give you somebody to shout at. I know who I want to get on.
that bus.
Yeah. I'd like to get Phil Morris on.
He's been on before, hasn't he? A couple of years
Yeah.
ago. So.
Yeah, I think he was. Yeah, he was one of the first guests.
He was, yeah. So, but
Had no
we'll see.
idea.
We'll see. Well, I guess
Yeah, I think we've come to
we've come to
natural-
the end of.
2023.
Well, we've got one more to go, but in the AGM. But
Yeah.
this season, it's been, from a Birmingham point of view, tough season. Not as tough as it's been at your place, though.
Yeah, it's crept on us now, isn't it? So it's starting to sort of sink in now that this time next week we will have seen the. I was talking about this the other day actually, because I believe once Monmouth closes to Speedway, I believe that Perry Bar will be the oldest current track in British Speedway that's stage Speedway. I don't think there's a track currently in British Speedway that is stage Speedway before the current variable.
2007.
No, I'm going back to
Oh,
way
okay.
back to the
Phew, I was gonna say
1920s.
that's
Yeah,
I'm going way back to 1928. So
1928, yeah.
all right.
people are going to say Bellevue, but of course they've not been at the current track since 1928. So
What about Glasgow?
Neither have we, really, but
well, Glasgow have been at Ashfield, I think, since 99. So,
Oh, right. Was that as early as that?
but of course, that track obviously at Birmingham Stage Speedway back in the 1920s. So
and of course, if Nigel Tolley, has his way,
it'll be staging it a lot longer.
we'll be at. I can't even say it. Down the road. What's the name of the Alexander Stadium?
Yeah.
There has actually been talk about that, but
And any potential sponsors for next season, please get in touch
Yep.
now because there will be a rush.
yes, to get out the door.
Yeah.
No.
And there we go.
Well, there we go, guys. Have a great Christmas if we don't see you before. Those of you still involved in playoffs, all the best. Thank you to all of you guys. Thanks to all the riders, all the promoters that have been on. Take care. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Enjoy your stay. Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. What's the news today? Have a drink, have your say. All opinions here today. Welcome to the Speedway.
Sorry, we're off.